Sometimes, to break a curse you must choose not who you save, but who you become. They told the story for generations of a princess with 11 brothers, cursed to silence while weaving shirts from nettles to save them, as they flapped across the skies each day as swans. It was always a tale of sorrow and triumph, of selflessness and sacrifice. But what if we told you there was another version? One that wasn't written in the old storybooks, one passed down not in ink but in whispers. Because in this telling, the girl wasn't the only one who could speak, and the curse was more than feathers and silence. It was about identity and the unspoken truth hidden beneath loyalty. Her name was Irun, and she was the youngest of 12, not the only daughter, but the only one who remained. Her older sister Aaliyah had vanished the night of the curse. The world assumed she died in the storm that took their parents. But Irun knew better. She remembered a voice in the dark, a flash of green fire, a scream not of fear, but of betrayal. While the brothers transformed into swans and were swept into the sky, Aaliyah had disappeared without a trace. All that remained was her necklace carved with a sigil that none of the books in the castle could explain. 4 years Irun kept her silence, stitching nettle shirts with torn fingers and blistered palms in the shelter of a ruined abbey far beyond the edge of the map. She spoke no word, not because she couldn't but because she wouldn't. The spell would break only when each brother wore a shirt of nettle, spun and sewn by her hand. If she spoke before they were finished, all would be lost. So she stayed. Through frost and famine, through fire and fear. But every night, before sleep took her, she wondered not about the curse or her brothers, but about the sister who was never part of the story. It wasn't until the 11th shirt was nearly done that the twist came. A cloaked figure entered the ruined chapel as dusk spilled gold across the stone floor. Not a soldier, not a monster. A woman hooded, steady, and when Irwin looked into her eyes, she dropped her spindle. Aaliyah, she whispered, and the curse did not punish her. That was the first twist. Aaliyah smiled, not cruelly, but with a softness that chilled more than any cold wind. You didn't lose your voice, she said. You gave it up freely. And Irwin knew, in that moment, that the curse had never been about silence. It had been about obedience, about tradition, about being the good daughter who bore the burden so her brothers wouldn't have to. Aaliyah revealed the truth. She hadn't vanished. She had been the one to strike first to attempt to undo the spell before it took hold, but in doing so, she had been marked. Branded by the Queen's magic as the one who broke the line, the swans were never supposed to be just animals. They were meant to become rulers' sons reshaped as symbols. Wings instead of swords, and she was the one meant to pay the price, endlessly sowing their salvation. But what if Aaliyah asked? You chose differently. Irwin stared at the nearly finished shirts. 11 the 12th yet to be begun. Her hands throbbed. Her mouth was still stinging from the first word she'd spoken in years. But something had lifted. The second twist was this. The shirts didn't need to be finished. The curse was not broken by completion. It was broken by defiance. And so, Irwin placed the shirts in the fire, one by one, not with rage, but with reverence. She watched as each burned like green lightning, and with every rising flame, a swan circled overhead, paused, and then flew toward the horizon, not human, not beast, but something free. And when she tossed the last unfinished shirt into the hearth, she felt the magic snap not cruelly, but like a breath finally released. The sky outside went still, the air shimmered, and in the silence that followed, she turned to Aaliyah and said only, "Thank you." They walked from the abbey as sisters, not saviors. The kingdom never knew what became of the swan princes. Some say they found their way back. Others say they chose the sky forever. But in the legends that survived, a new tale grew, one of 2 daughters who refused the weight of old magic and instead chose their own names.